Para comemorar os 3 anos de Destino Incomum, a gente preparou uma temporada especial. E o destino que escolhemos tem natureza exuberante, atividades radicais e cultura exótica. Bem-vindos à Nova Zelândia! O skyline de Queenstown é um dos pontos mais altos da cidade, cercado de montanhas, e aqui de cima a gente tem uma visão incrível da região, além de diversas atividades radicais como bungee jump, pêndulo, voo de asa delta e o mais divertido de todos, que a gente vai fazer logo mais, o lug, uma espécie de carrinho de rolimã para a gente descer a montanha.
A Nova Zelândia é um país considerado paraíso para os viajantes que buscam atividades radicais. Além das que o Mendel já comentou, aqui em Queenstown também há estação de esqui, montanhismo, trekking para todos os níveis e até mesmo paraquedismo. Com toda essa diversidade, não é surpresa nenhuma que os kiwis tenham inventado o barco a jato. É uma lancha que atinge mais de 80 km por hora e anda em meio a desfiladeiros estreitos e muitas pedras. É uma maluquice que nós precisamos experimentar. Bom dia, pessoal! Hoje amanheceu um lindo dia aqui em Queenstown e a gente vai aproveitar esse sol bonito para fazer um dos passeios mais legais aqui na Nova Zelândia, o cruzeiro pelo Milford Sound. O Sound fica mais ou menos uns 300 quilômetros daqui e é para lá que a gente vai agora. Nós chegamos agora no Milford Sound para fazer o cruzeiro, mas infelizmente aqui é o lugar mais molhado da Nova Zelândia, aqui chove repentinamente. Nós pegamos um trajeto lindo com sol no caminho para cá e agora está essa chuvarada, mas a gente tem a esperança de que daqui a pouco abra o sol de novo e a gente consiga ver o Sound bonito com sol. Vamos lá, vamos tentar, vamos fazer essa experiência.
Fui ali no balcão de informações perguntar se tinha previsão para o tempo melhorar um pouco e a tiazinha não falou nada, só me apontou pro mural. Chegou menuando aqui nos fiordes. Bom dia, pessoal! Ontem, depois daquele passeio molhado por Milford Sound, hoje um dia bonito aqui em Queenstown, a gente começa a nossa viagem ao norte em direção ao Rice Peak, com uma trilha de aproximadamente 5 horas até o topo da montanha. Então a gente espera que tenha um visual muito bonito por lá, a gente está com uma expectativa boa e é para lá que a gente vai agora. Como vocês já sabem, eu adoro montanhas e trilhas, então por aqui eu estou me sentindo em casa. A Nova Zelândia oferece uma série de opções no quesito trilhas. Essa aqui que a gente está conhecendo hoje não é uma das maiores. Em cerca de 2 ou 3 horas a gente deve chegar até o topo. Mas tem outras opções também, como a Tuatapere e a Tongariro. Essa segunda é a minha preferida. Os lagos de esmeralda e a paisagem alpina certamente devem compensar os mais de 20 quilômetros de caminhada.
aquela paisagem incrível no topo do Royce Peak com um sol lindo. A gente começou a descer e tá fechando o tempo, tá começando a chover, tá ventando bem forte. Então o negócio é agora a gente descer correndo para não encharcar. Esse é o Lago Tasman. Até alguns anos atrás, isso aqui era tudo uma geleira. A gente ainda consegue ver lá no finzinho, lá no fundo, um pedaço da geleira que ainda existe. E essa geleira ia até o topo daquelas marcas e linhas pretas que a gente vê ali na montanha. Para quem, assim como eu, é fã de cinema e gosta de visitar os locais que serviram de inspiração ou cenário para as gravações, Nova Zelândia é um prato cheio. Ainda mais se você for fã do mundo criado por Tolkien. Além da cidade cenográfica de Hobbiton, há locações dos filmes Hobbit e Senhor dos Anéis espalhados literalmente por todos os cantos do país, de norte a sul. São mais de 150 locais que aparecem nos filmes, e esse aqui é apenas mais um deles.
Kia ora. Nau mai haere mai, welcome to te whakarewatanga o te Opitaua a Wahiao. Welcome to the area known as the Uprising War Party of Wahiao. My name is Mikaere Tuoro Te Moana, and I will be taking you through my family's village here in the geothermal activity. Can you say kia ora?
Kia ora.
Yeah.
Kia
You know
ora.
what kia ora is?
It's welcome.
Yeah. Yep. Kia ora. For farewell, can you say ka kite?
Kakite.
Yeah. Ka kite. Ka kite sounds like one word, but it is two words.
2 words.
Ka
Ka
kite.
kite.
Yeah. Ka meaning to, kite see. So to see or to see you again.
See you again.
Yeah. There can also use kia ora for thank you as well.
Thank you.
And tēnā koe.
Tēnā.
Tēnā koe, very simple. It's more of the formal way of saying hello. Kia ora is the informal way.
Kia ora, it's better than.
Yeah.
I like the informal.
Yeah. Te whakarewatanga o te Opitaua a Wahiao.
I can say.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
In English, the Uprising War Party of Wahiao. The little hut just over there. That there is what the house used to be, what we used to stay in the days of old. Because we never had big structures like, 3-bedroom homes. So we only had those ones. We only slept in them. We did not actually live in them during the day. So the mother and the children would be sleeping inside. The father could be sleeping outside under the awning, just so his family is safe and protected.
I'm curious about how old is this village?
Over 150 years
150
old.
years.
Yeah.
Wow.
But tourism was only introduced in the last 100 years. This village here, Whakarewarewa Thermal Village, is the oldest tourist attraction in New Zealand.
Wow, that's nice.
New Zealand tourism was born here in Rotorua. It wasn't actually born here in this village, but we had the pink and white terraces, which were considered as the 8th natural wonder of the world. They had the calcium and the cinnabar. These are the minerals that are running down the side of a hill. The geothermal water trickling down the terraces. Visitors from different parts of the world would come and bathe in those terraces.
Yes.
And that's where New Zealand tourism was born. But in 1886, Tarawera Mountain erupted. The terraces sank below the lake and lost to us since then. But now Whakarewarewa village here is now the oldest tourist attraction in New Zealand. So we call, there's actually several of these around the village. We call it a Maori microwave.
Oh, nice.
A steam box, yeah.
Steam box.
So we use these steam boxes to cook. So, here we go. We'll make our way up to this one here. Because with the lid on, there is some food inside the cooking.
Ooh, nice.
So when it comes to cooking in the steam boxes, it's only about, for chicken, an hour to an hour and a half when they're cooked. So what happens with these steam boxes, we can leave our food in here to cook all day and it will not burn because it creates a moist wet heat,
Nice.
not a dry heat. But if you leave your food in here all day to cook, at the end of the day you just pick the bone up and the meat slides off the bone.
Ooh, that's really nice for barbecue.
Yes, absolutely.
For barbecue,
yeah.
it's,
Very similar to a slow cooker.
Slow cooker.
Some of them they act as pressure cookers as well. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look just to see what we have inside. Okay. So when it comes to cooking in here, we usually pre-pack the food. Okay, so if you come around here a little bit, smell the steam, you might be able to smell some of the food cooking.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Really nice smell. Really
beautiful.
nice.
I can smell it. There's some
Ooh,
meat
really
in
nice.
there. So when I was growing up here, my grandmother used to prepare all the food in one pot. I'll bring it up here, put it in one of the steam boxes, make my way to school. After school I'll come back, I'll have my oven mitts in my backpack. Very hot reaching in there.
Yeah.
Grabbing it out, letting it rest on the ground so the handles can cool down. Then
Sure.
I can take it down home. So when it comes to cooking in here, the steam brings out the natural flavors. We don't have any spices, any herbs to add with it because the steam brings out the flavors of the food. Now the temperature of a steam box is usually between 80 to 90 degrees Celsius. So you're more than welcome, just have a run your hand over the top.
Bem quente, bem quente. Mas o cheiro, cara, o cheiro é incrível, muito bom.
So that's what the steam does, brings out the natural flavors. We don't actually need to salt our food either, okay, because it brings out the actual natural flavors, the fats, the oils, and of course the nutrients of the vegetables as well. So when it comes to cooking in these steam boxes, we come to use them because we don't have to pay for power. We do have ovens in our own homes, but we come to use these more often.
It's natural.
Natural heat.
And it's much more cheaper than
Much more cheaper.
So
much more
perfect.
cheaper. Absolutely. This pool here is pare kohuru. Okay, I'll say that in English, the murderous ripples, because the surface temperature of this pool is between 96 to 110 degrees Celsius. Well, it doesn't sit at that temperature, it only spikes to that temperature and shoots down to its sitting temperature about 98 degrees Celsius. So this here, it's got carrots.
Carrots?
Yeah, carrots in muslin cloth, cheesecloth.
Okay.
This one here is cabbage, chopped cabbage. So for cabbage, 30 to 40 seconds.
40 seconds?
Yep.
Wow.
Now carrots, because they're a little bit thicker, about a minute and they're cooked. We also do have corn in here as well, okay? We use this cheesecloth because it tends to hold the heat, and when we take it back down home, it tends to keep the moisture inside the food as well. So only 5 to 8 minutes. Now, have you heard about Mount Etna?
Oh, Edna, yes.
Over in Italy?
Yes.
This pool was affected by the eruption of Mount Etna in 2001.
Wow, really?
This pool sank a good 5 to 6 meters because the water was being taken, it was being sucked towards the eruption.
Wow, from that this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mount Etna sits on the Arabian Belt, which is connected to the Pacific Ring of Fire. 4 of the fault lines of the Ring of Fire run through Rotorua. One of them, this pool sits on the Whakarewarewa fault line. So this here sank a good 5 to 6 meters. It took seconds for the water to go down, but it took months for the water to come back up again, back to its former glory. What we've been noticing now, because of what's been happening over in Hawaii, there is a pool at the top where the geysers are, and at the bottom of the geysers, the pool is actually sunk right down. So we do get the scientists, geologists come in more often now to check on that pool, see how the pool is going. So this here is the bathing area. So when it tends to be quite cold in the winter, what we do, we come here, okay, we put a towel on top of the ground, okay, so you have a feel of the ground.
O chão bem quente, muito legal isso. Muito legal.
Lovely and warm, isn't
Wow,
it?
wonderful.
Now there's that running water, so just lightly dip your finger in the water. Oh, it might be a little bit hot.
Yeah, really hot.
Really hot. So rub the water between the fingers, very soft, very silky type of feeling.
Yeah,
So imagine that feeling all over your body.
it's probably a really nice
Really
experience.
nice, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So the water comes from the hot wall up there,
Okay.
comes down the channel, gathers into the bay. In the mornings we release the channels, the water runs down, filling up the baths. So when the water is making its way down, what we do is that the water tends to lose its sodium, but picking up the other minerals, making it quite soapy, very buoyant. So we're going to make our way down to the bath, so you can have a feel idea of the temperature on how hot we keep our bath. So let's see that one here. That's how we have a bath. And also when it comes to the older generation, when we see a clearer bath like this, that there for the older generation is the type of bath that we offer. Popo is the Maori word for, should I say, guardians.
Guardians.
So those
Yeah,
are the guardians, and they more, should I say, safeguard us, and they ward away all of the evil spirits. They scare all the evil spirits away.
Nice.
And they act as a barrier. If we go beyond the guardians, we don't know where we're going to walk. So we might fall into a hole. As we walked up here, you would have seen the two eyes at the top.
Yes.
That's his head, okay? This house is named Wahia. At the top, the two eyes, that's known as his head. Going down the sides are known as his arms, outstretched in a welcoming manner. Two vertical posts, that one there, and this one over here, known as his legs. The door, his mouth, the window, his eyes. The painted rafters underneath are known as his ribcage. Now this represents the life cycle. Birth, life, death. Some of them, they may have a fourth finger like this one here, but it's facing in the opposite direction, and that is life after death. Now you can see the colours of the Maori people of this district, which is the white, the red, and the black. Now that is a human being. White, which is life, which is birth, because you're being born into the world.
Into light.
Yes. Red, which is life, because it represents the colour of the blood that pumps through our veins. And the black, which is death. As soon as you close your eyes, all you see,
You can see anything.
it's black. So talking about that, the population of New Zealand, just going over 4.5 million people, but only 16 to 18% are people that have Maori blood in them. Very select amount of people are pure-blooded Maoris, are full-blooded Maoris. I myself, I'm not a full-blooded. I've got a bit of English and Scottish blood in myself. But because I was brought up in the Maori way, I'll always affiliate myself to my Maori culture, and my Maori language, and my Maori heritage. The word tattoo originated here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. The English came over, James Cook, he came over, he saw the Maori people doing the tattoo. And how we got the name is how the sound was made every time we do a tattoo. So the tattoo, what we do is we grab the three bones. The three bones that comes from the albatross. The first bone is used to pierce the first layer of skin to make the draft copy. Second bone is used to gouge out at least 2 to 3 millimeters of flesh. We got the idea of the streams and the rivers gouging through Mother Earth. So what we did the same thing. That's what the second bone was for. The third bone was used to cauterize it, to should I say, to make it harden, to heal. So every once a week back then, it would heal over, and they'll grab the third bone and do it again. Boom, 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 boom. The sound that it makes, tato, tato. The English couldn't pronounce it, so that's where the English come and change it to tattoo, tattoo. That's why, and that's how it's got its name. Tattoo originated from the Māori word tato, tato, the sound of the banging of the stick hitting into the skin. So when it comes to the tattoo, there are certain places where you can get a tattoo. Now when it comes to the females, only the females are allowed to get a tattoo here. Because of their beauty, they are regarded not to have any of the tattoos, the tamoko around their face, only here, because they are known as the bird voices of the people. Very beautiful singers. So that's where they only get this, the chinda, called a moko kauai. Moko kauai. So the moko kauai is the chin tattoo. Okay, so for the males, they can get it anywhere. For the males, any tattoos from the eyelids down are all dedicated to the physical realm. Everything to do with the achievements of that person, all from the eyelids down. Everything from the eyelids up is all dedicated to the spiritual realm. So the people like the priests and the bishops and the pastors, all of them back then, that we called them tohunga, which are the priests. And if they've got this done, it's because their tattoos are all above the eye line are dedicated to the spiritual realm. All the tattoos that are on the right hand side of the body are known as all the tattoos dedicated to the father. Everything on the left hand side are dedicated to the mother. So when it comes to the haka, we use the haka as a form of communication to show where we are from, to tell where we are from, and to also indicate to them where our boundaries are and also our landmarks as well. That's what the haka is all about. Today's days, what we do, we use the haka to psych ourselves up to go out onto the battlefield. Now the word haka, split that into two. Ha, which is breath, ka, fire. Fiery breath. Okay, so because the men use the haka to psych themselves up, it's quite an aggressive type of tone when we say the words. So the haka, what we do is there's a lot during the haka when it comes to the actions like poking up the tongue, bulging in the eyes. We exercise each muscle, each and every muscle in our body. That includes the eyes, bulging of the eyes, the protrusion of the tongue. Now there is a reason why we use the tongue. It's because that it's a sign of intimidation, but not just that, but it's also a sign for communication. We need our tongue to talk. That's why we use the tongue. And when it comes to the Māori culture, we never had a written form of language. So that's where the tongue comes in. We needed our tongue to talk so we can pass the different information down from generation to generation. And when it comes to the different tribes as well, they have their own meanings. New Zealand has one common haka, which is kamate kamate. So you've seen the All Blacks play?
Yes.
Yeah. So back then what they used to do is the haka kamate kamate. Kamate kamate talks about one of the ancestors who was trying to escape the British, and he was fearing for his life. And it talks about his journey about trying to escape the British.
Nós tínhamos planejado uma atividade completamente diferente para hoje, mas como o tempo não colaborou e está chovendo muito, nós resolvemos partir para o plano B, um workshop de faca. Nós ficamos sabendo de um escocês muito gente boa, mestre cuteleiro que mora por aqui na Nova Zelândia, que ensina as pessoas a fazerem suas próprias facas. E esse é o tipo de atividade em comum que a gente não poderia deixar passar.
My name is John McDonald. Welcome to Albany's knife making experience. During the day, on your journey into knife making, I will take you through the journey where you'll start with a blank piece of steel, and at the end of the day you'll end up with a beautiful handmade knife. You'll also make a leather pouch in which the knife can rest for the rest of its days.
Agora a gente está no ferry que faz a travessia do Estreito de Cook, que é o que liga a Ilha Sul à Ilha Norte. Nós saímos de Picton e nós vamos chegar em Wellington. Esse trecho ele leva aproximadamente 4 horas. Aqui em Wellington, capital da Nova Zelândia, um dos lugares incríveis de se conhecer é o Jardim Botânico. Além de uma incrível vista para o Estreito de Cook e o tradicional bondinho vermelho, uma curiosidade, um dos lugares mais coloridos que eu já conheci. Vale a pena a visita. Depois de muita chuva, hoje amanheceu um lindo dia de sol e não poderia ter sido em momento melhor. Nós recebemos um convite para lá de especial e hoje a gente vai ter o prazer e a honra de explorar o set de filmagens de HOBBITON em um tour exclusivo. Não preciso dizer o quanto a gente está ansioso para conhecer tudo isso por aqui, principalmente depois de já ter passado por tantos outros cenários utilizados nos filmes de Peter Jackson.
Hey there everyone, welcome to Hobbiton. My name is Sam, I'm going to be your guide, and this is my house. Welcome. So, very often when you hear a lot of people talking about Hobbiton, they'll refer to this place as a living movie set. The reason for that is because the majority of this movie set is actually garden. Alright, the hobbit holes, we've got 44 of them in total. All of them are made up, little facades in the hillsides to make it look like they've got actual homes in there. But behind those doors, it's just about a 1.5 to 2 metre gap so that the door can open and close. Actors would walk in and out, and that was about it. All the rest of it, however, are little props and gardens. So this place is constantly growing, it's constantly under maintenance by our gardening teams. They're out here 7 days a week. And about 95% of our gardens are real. There is a few things here and there which are fake, which are just there to throw people off. Okay. So, in instance for this garden, if you have a look down the front table, we've got a little box of potatoes over there. Yes. Those are plastic.
Oh, those are plastic.
Those are plastic. But everything else on the table, everything else you see through the garden, those are real. It will be harvested sooner or later and it will go to the gardeners. So one of the things that you'll notice while we're out here is that all of our hobbit holes are built at different sizes. Okay. So these ones are 90% scale doors, so they're 90% scale to a human. Don't ask me which human, because we're all different sizes, but 90% scale to a human. We've also got others that are 60% scale, so that'll only be about that big. And the idea behind it is if we stand an actor in front of these big doors, they look the right height that they can live behind these doors. Whereas if we put them in front of a small door, they're going to look a lot taller, and so that's where we get the difference between Gandalf and the hobbits. So whenever you see Gandalf in the films, he's outside of small sets. Whenever you see the hobbits, they're outside of the bigger ones.
That's the magic.
Do you remember when, in the first Hobbit, Bilbo, he runs through Hobbiton, and then he runs out through a little cutting, screaming that he's going on an adventure?
Yes.
I'm going on an adventure!
So that was that cutting just back there that we've come through. He runs out there, he's got the big contract in his hand, he screams that he's running off. But when he's doing that run, if you have a look up that way, you'll also see a little fence above the hobbit hole. Yes. He jumps over that fence halfway through the run, sprints on down through the garden here. With the path that he ran through Hobbiton, the thing is it doesn't actually exist. They actually cut the filming up all over the movie set to try and make the village look bigger than it actually is. So he actually starts up the top of the hill, runs down across a few hobbit holes, then all of a sudden he's in the garden down here, then he's up on the party field jumping a fence to get back into this garden, and then he's back up on the hills we saw him in the first time, and then he's out through the cutting.
He ran it a lot.
He ran all over this place, eh? I did tell you as well, we've got these little 60% scale doors, but these are much smaller. These are the ones that we would get Gandalf standing in front of. This area through here that we're coming through, this is another part from the first Lord of the Rings. Do you remember when Gandalf sets off the fireworks for all the children out the back of his cart?
Yes.
Cool, his cart was about there, and all the children were jumping and screaming along this path here.
Right.
Now one of those kids, front and centre, big curly hair, is actually Peter Jackson's son.
Nice.
Alright, so he managed to get in there as well. And another one of those children, though I've never met him, he actually grew up to become a tour guide here. He was working here up until a few years ago. Now this area up here, it's one of the biggest areas we've got in the movie set. We call it the Dell. It has got 7 hobbit holes, and it was always described in the books as being very self-sufficient, right?
Yes.
So they also tried to design this area to have its own pond, its own wells, 3 veggie gardens, its own woodshed, a lot of culinary plants in there. Basically the idea that these hobbits could just live by themselves. And right down the end of our dell, we've got these lovely trees here. Now these are known as the Sackville Orchard. Now this home here, this one gets into a lot of our promotional stuff because it's just beautiful. But this is our honorary home for the Sackville Bagginses. Alright, so we've got it right next to the Sackville Orchard. Lobelia Sackville Baggins and her husband, right before they go to Bilbo's birthday, Bilbo's running around his house hiding all of his spoons. Oh, yes. Because he's afraid that she's going to steal them. Alright, they were related to Bilbo. They thought that they deserved to have Bag End at the top of the hill because he did inherit it from his parents. But they were living down here, so they resented him quite a lot. One of the reasons behind that, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the way it works in Hobbiton is that the higher up the hill that you live, higher class of hobbit you are. Windows as well. The more windows a hobbit hole has, the more money that that hobbit hole is expected to have. We talked a little bit before about the doors, you know, they make the people different sizes. Yes. It wasn't the only trick that they could get away with in the movies to make it work. So you remember when we came in, I pointed out Gandalf and Frodo on their little cart? Yes. The thing about that cart is anytime you see them talking to each other on there, you'll notice that the camera is always set up at a certain angle in front of them and it never moves. The reason for this is because while both of those actors were in the shot, they still wanted the size difference to look very realistic.
Different.
They were stretched by about 3 meters apart.
3 meters apart?
3 meters apart. So Frodo's seat was 3 meters back in the cart, Gandalf's seat up the front, and they filmed it at just the right angle. It looked like they were sitting next to each other. So these hobbit holes, you're going to notice that our little gates and ropes are starting to disappear. So you're more than welcome to get right up in front of these hobbit holes, have a look, have a touch, all of that. This is actually our only home that is built a little bit out of the hillside, so you'll see that it's got its lovely thatched roof. The only other place that we've got this thatched roof is across the lake on our mill house and our Green Dragon.
The Green Dragon.
Yeah, now we'll
have a beer over there.
We'll go over there, we'll have a beer on me from our South Farthing range.
Nice.
There you go. I know how to treat my guests.
Yeah.
In terms of these hobbit holes, I have promised that I'd show you what they look like on the inside. Super exciting. We've got the little bit of gap and then the retaining wall there. So one thing you're going to have to imagine is obviously the actors, this is what they were using to make it look like they were going in and out of their homes. Because there is only that one hobbit hole we go inside of in the movies, which is Bag End, the rest of them sort of ended up looking a little bit like this on the other side. Whenever you're watching the movies, someone walks in a hobbit hole, you think they're going into a nice little home, they're actually just going to go sit in a dark corner for a while until they finish filming. Close the door and just wait.
É escuro aqui dentro. Muito legal, muito legal.
One of the biggest problems that they hit was actually with an oak tree that we had on the set. And so what happened,
Fake oak.
the fake oak tree, exactly. Originally it was brought over from a farm on the other side of Matamata, and it was cut into 15 pieces before it was put back together out here. That killed the tree, all right? Cutting up a tree into 15 pieces never lets it live very long. All of the leaves fell off it, and so they, just like with the plum trees, they put a whole lot of fake leaves on it to make sure it looked alive through the filming, right? When they came back for The Hobbit, because this tree was no longer alive, they needed to rebuild a fake one to match what it had looked like. So right up at the top of our hill, you'll see above Bag End, we've got that lovely little oak tree. Completely artificial. As we get up there, it will become more and more obvious.
Definitely looks stunning.
It's a nice tree, eh?
Nobody can say that is a fake tree.
They were meticulous with getting that tree right. You see, when they got all of the fake leaves on the tree, Peter Jackson wasn't actually around to supervise while they were doing that. So he left it with his people. They painted over 200,000 leaves, hand-wired them onto the tree. He popped up probably 10 days before filming, looked up at the tree and said,
Nope.
the wrong colour green. So he made 2 people spend up to 15 hours a day for 10 days with little spray guns sitting in the tree repainting every single leaf a slightly darker shade of green to what they originally had. There's a lot of work for it, eh?
Really hard work and really meticulous work.
But you see, one of the big things with it is Peter at that point, he knew that these tours were going to be happening, all right? And so the point of going all the way through with building an artificial tree means that today, everyone that we bring out here, when they come in through Gandalf's cutting, just like you guys, they get to look up and see Bag End like they'll remember it from the films. Now this is Bag End. This is that main one that, you know, we all want to go inside of and see.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
It's super exciting. On the other side of that green door is exactly the same that you saw in those last 2 Hobbit holes.
Oh.
So the only difference with this one is rather than 1.5 meters, it's 5 meters back, right?
Okay.
That gives us enough room to put in a hallway, some floor, and it means that when they're filming right outside of it, they open this door up, it looks like there's an actual home inside. Also,
so there's no fireworks,
no
Gandalf inside,
no Gandalf, no living room,
no kitchen.
No, unfortunately not. Once you get behind that door, it only stretches in behind these windows so that we can go in and clean them. Okay. Just super exciting stuff, right? The reason that we didn't put the interior into this one though was because, just like with the doors, we needed 2 different sets of 2 different sizes to film Gandalf and Bilbo. So down in Stone Street Studios, just down the road from Weta, they built these 2 sets, and then they would set up 2 cameras on each set, connect these with big long metal rods. And they could put the actors on the 2 different sets at the same time, because with these 2 cameras connected, if they moved one of them, the other one would move exactly the same. They used this trick to film both sets at the same time with the 2 different actors, took the footage and merged it on top of each other. So then it looked like Gandalf was really tall and Bilbo was really short. This is Samwise Gamgee's house, right? Now in the films, it's the final shot of The Lord of the Rings where you actually see this hobbit hole. It's when you've got Sam coming up the path here, Rosie at the door, daughter runs out and gives Sam a big hug. Not a lot of people are aware of this though, but that little girl in that scene, that is Sam's daughter in real life. All right, so she was coming out to the movie set to see her dad while he was filming. Same thing goes for the baby that Rosie's holding while she's standing by the door. That's her son in real life as well. So one of the reasons that they went for that is because with an actress that young, it's going to be really hard to ask her to look at a stranger the same way she's going to look at her dad, right?
Exactly.
So by having an actual father and daughter there, they were able to get the camera right up into their face, get this nice little moment of them hugging. It's a really nice way to end the films. Over at the Green Dragon as well, we're going to be able to go inside this one. Furniture, beers, bar, food, like we've got the whole setup in there. We like to call it our Hobbit hospitality area, right?
Nice, perfect.
But the original one, this is not the same one from the movies, unfortunately. So I'll just let you down now. Originally they built that as a facade as well, just like with the Hobbit holes, filmed the interiors in Wellington. At the end of filming The Lord of the Rings, actually real interesting. Do you remember in the movies when Frodo looks into Galadriel's mirror and he sees the Shire being torn apart by war?
Yes.
All the hobbits are in chains and the Green Dragon's burning down. They don't really have a lot of capacity to CGI fire that looked realistic, so a good way to do it is actually set the Green Dragon on fire.
They tortured off the...
Yeah. They lit the whole roof on fire, they started filming it, they watched it burn down, used the footage in the movies.
Wow, that's a shame.
I know. Luckily though, it meant that we could rebuild it as an actual standing building. So we could put the interior inside it. It's the same layouts as you expect from the movies. It's the same plans, except we're able to take you in and give you guys, you know,
That's better.
a drink from our South Farthing range, which is done exclusively for us.
Great.
Yeah,
That's even great.
it's nice, eh?
Too bad it's not the original one, but it's
The original,
even
it's even better. The original one didn't have a bar. This one's got a bit of a bar.
Bem-vindos ao Green Dragon. Saúde.
Stout, amber ale, ginger beer, or an apple cider?
Red ale.
Red ale?
And then,
Here we go. So that is our Girdley Fine Grain Amber Ale. And we've got the Oak Barton Dark English Stout.
Cheers.
Alright.
Pra quem é fã do Senhor dos Anéis, que nem eu, cara, isso é um sonho. Tá dentro do Green Dragon, tomando uma cerveja. Cara, maravilhoso. É um sonho que se realiza.
Cheers.
Saúde!
too big. Can I get some comfort, please? I guess I should have been honest. It breaks in my heart. It's weighing me down, baby. I'm like a river that's overflowed. The sooner you know it, the less do we hurt. Let me speak the truth. I know you don't wanna face it. You think it's too late, but I can see past the rain. Won't you lay it on me? Turn the page and burn it. Let's make up a big bonfire on the beach with the stars as our lighters, and throw our problems in the flame. Throw our problems in the flame. We fell down to the bottom, so bottom up please. We're gonna get over this. I see the smoke in the mirrors. I'm holding the key, one step away from salvation. You're like the ocean, setting me free. Out in the open, I'm picking up speed. No bad thoughts penetrate. Hold me like this is the first time. Our destiny calls, not leaving this incomplete. Won't you lay it on me? Turn the page and burn.
Estamos chegando ao fim de nossa épica jornada pela terra da grande nuvem branca, a Aotearoa, em Maori, como é conhecida a Nova Zelândia. Entre indas e vindas, rodamos mais de 4.500 quilômetros, explorando os mais diversos cantos dessas ilhas, que tanto têm a oferecer. Natureza exuberante, atividades radicais, cultura exótica e até mesmo muita chuva são alguns dos inúmeros atrativos desse país tão distante de casa, mas que tem atraído cada vez mais e mais pessoas. Uma coisa é certa, a qualidade de vida por aqui é excepcional e mesmo sendo um país pequeno, está muito longe de ser entediante. Aqui nos despedimos, felizes pela oportunidade de compartilhar um pouquinho dessa cultura peculiar com vocês. E aproveito também para fazer um convite. Continue nos acompanhando, pois muito em breve estaremos lançando a maior temporada do programa até então, gravada em 15 países em 4 continentes diferentes, em que exploraremos a temática das civilizações perdidas. Kia ora!
Mena ka pātai mai koe ki ahau, he aha te mea nui o tēnei ao, mā koe ki atu he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. So if it is you to ask me, what is the most important in this world, I shall reply, it is people, it is people, it is people. Because at the end of the day, people need people. People do not need war. People do not need violence. People need people.